let you guys do the interviewing if you wish. Okay. Also notice I have my name along with the program, so I'm glad to see that after all the years of coming to Southern. Anyway, it's much too early, of course, for a roast and toast, especially the toast part this morning. But I'm very happy to be here to salute my dear friend, frequent collaborator, and sometimes co-manager, Jim Walker. Most of you know Jim through his involvement with and service to this association, and by his many publications on such areas as media technology and media effects and many other mass communication subjects. Now, I'm not going to spend much time here talking about that kind of thing, because Jim talks about it enough, okay? I'll be glad to fill you in on anything you want to hear about that. Rather, I, with the assistance of some other people who've known Jim a long time, hope to offer some insights into the mind and personality of Dr. Walker. Jim was born in central Pennsylvania, the year the Yankees defeated the Whiz Kids Phillies in the World Series. Now, you'll have to look up the year. I don't really think it's appropriate to get into age kind of things this morning. It was an idyllic year because of the establishment and development of cable television and televised baseball, two seminal events in Jim's career. However, Jim had other interests at the time, influenced by the great Buddy Rich and the calypso rhythms of Harry Belafonte. Jim demonstrated an early interest in playing the drums. This picture of the best. Unfortunately, his technique was not sufficient to get him into Juilliard or many jazz clubs of Belmont, Pennsylvania. So Jim concentrated his efforts on school. Matriculating at Penn State at the height of the Vietnam War era, Jim, like many young men and women of his generation, became politicized and radicalized by the anti-war and anti-establishment movements. Here is a photo of the year Jim led a delegation of Penn State students to San Francisco. After graduation from Penn State, Jim did what a lot of young job seekers do. He went back to school, or he stayed in school, I should say. Actually, Jim did get a job. He got a job in television. And, of course, that remains one of his great loves to this day. Now, one of Jim's old friends and colleagues at Penn State was Bob Harrison. And Bob was unable to send us a tape, but he did send a letter that I asked Linda to read for us. This is from Bob Harrison. Linda Jensen.
Hi, Jim. I wish that I could be there to join in the celebration of this very special occasion of your honor. Most people get this sort of thing after they die. I'm glad that you are still alive to receive this tribute, along with other reasons. In lieu of appearing in St. Louis, my intent was to provide a brief videotape to be shared with you at the convention. As it turned out, due to a taping glitch, the videotape was simply too brief, basically it was blank. So, since I thought it might go unappreciated, I decided not to send it. So now here goes my final attempt to say a few things. Rob Delaney asked me to share some memories from your Penn State University days when we were graduate students together. Two memorable things come to mind. Two things that helped to underscore the Jim Walker of that time, probably forever. Many of the people who are assembled in the meeting room know you as a prominent, well-respected media scholar educator. But I doubt that many, if any of them, know that your media debut was as the anchor of a television show that was carried across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Not bad for a young man who was working on a master's degree. To see you on TV, though, you needed to get up early, make that very early, because the show that you hosted was Farm, Home, and Garden. And farmers across the state comprised the target audience, so that dictated the early broadcast hour. I remember seeing the show once, stumbling in the dark and making the extra effort to see my friend. I must admit now, though, that I was a bit disappointed, because the particular show that I watched gave more on time to a group of pigs than you did. But it was a start, Jim. One thing that defines you is your love for sports. You were a graduate student at Penn State. You organized and faithfully participated in a variety of team sports on weekends. The teams were made up of graduate students in communication and other disciplines. Always a scholar, though, you would use discipline-specific terms as nicknames for those who participated on the team, and you would reinforce endorse those names in department newsletters and during any other available occasion. So you might dub someone as John the Rhetorician Smith or Cindy the Improviser Jones. I often wonder, Jim, how could you maintain your intense involvement with sports and scholarship at the same time? Well, I guess the trick is to make connections. In closing, I wish to extend my appreciation to you, Jim, for being a person who clearly deserves to be honored. Bob Harrison, Gallaudet University.
Okay. Gary, do you and Scissor remember Farm Home and Garden? Did you watch this? Was it take off?
No, unfortunately, we got there just the year he left, so.
Well,
Very candid.
no need to worry about it because I have here highlights.
Maybe that's a weekend or what.
Highlights of Farm Home and Garden.
Here all week at Farm Show Building, giving you the coverage, showing you the best people and competitions of this Farm Show week. We decided to start in this massive, large arena because this is the place that will house many of those events. So. Okay, I'm completely confused. Sorry. Okay, cut. The dedication at the front of this large arena reads, what about security? How much will this renovation earn? How much? Carol, some people would say this presents problems for women. Carol, some people would say this presents. Carol, some people would say this presents problems for winter. Carol, some people would say this presents. I'm not to listen to your questions real close.
Soon after this, Jim decided to never return to school. So he could teach young people about Charleston. So off to Iowa he went. Maurice Charlon, now at the Concordia University of Montreal, was one of Jim's housemates in Iowa City, and he sends along this greeting that I've asked to read.
Dear Jim, it is great that you're receiving well-deserved recognition, but there is something about the standards of a field and peer review that constrain truly creative work. Whatever happened to those great research projects that you worked on in graduate school? Remember the Froggy and Bunny experiments? Ooh la la. Could stuffed Midway prizes find bicultural and interspecies happiness? The last that I heard, they had gone missing. And what about the 1950s Chrysler stress test? But the best were the Eden Drive experiments. Just so everyone knows, you did pioneering research into the half-life of French pastries being transported across an international boundary. Could 12 pastries make it from Montreal to Pennsylvania? It wasn't a double-blind experiment. The researchers needed to keep their eye on the road. And you were quick to observe that the pastries were subject to two effects, the hunger effect and the melting effect. A melted pastry is a wasted pastry. It was I-81 southbound. You had one hand on the wheel, the other on an eclair, proving that researcher bias can be a good thing. It wasn't tenure-making research, but it immortalized the Eat and Drive as your motto. I wish you all the best. It is great that you moved on to more serious things, but I look forward to your taking more research on the road. Your friend and partner in crime, Maurice Charlon, Communication Studies, Concordia University.
I also met Jim in Iowa. I remember very well our discussions of baseball. Of course, it was so different then. That's when we actually paid attention, or Jim anyway, actually paid attention to the real game and not the fantasy stats as he does so much today. I remember the Friday afternoon seminars, and I remember that Chrysler too. There's actually a photo here for later. This was a Jim's Chrysler. He hauled this car from Pennsylvania to Iowa to Memphis via Mississippi, I believe. And one fact, let's take it to Chicago, not June. Her wisdom said, enough is enough. This is car. How well I remember Jim's influence on me and his efficiency in completing his dissertation through year after year after year after year in Iowa City and then at the University of Northern Iowa in Cedar Falls. From Jim, I learned that it is quality, not speed, that matters. Well, it sounded good to you. Jim's next stop was at the school formerly known as Memphis State University. To speak a little bit about Jim's days there, that's Dean Dick Ranta of the University of Memphis to join us.
If we'd only known. It just proves the mistakes you can make in a job interview. I've had people ask me, I sent the tape or now the website, there's a perfect illustration, don't do it. We were very pleased to have Jim there, but we didn't realize what a fanatic we were getting. This is the person who really gets immersed in detail and has always got his eye on the bottom line. I recall a dinner, actually, that he had out with Lynn Webb, and they were deeply engaged in the conversation. As you know, Jim doesn't have a light conversation. He sort of launches into things for sometimes days. But the check came, and Lynn gave the waiter the credit card, he went away, and Jim kept on with his conversation. And the check came back with the slip. Jim, always the gentleman obsessed with details and numbers and stats, refused to let Lynn sign it, insisted that he was going to pay for this, and signed his name on her credit card and sent it away, absolving himself. This is the kind of person a dean loves to have. Actually, I have memories of Jim too. He would come in and ask a simple question about something like travel. All I do is mention baseball. And we get right off the course. He'd go away happy. I still have my money. And everybody. But it was a wonderful experience having Jim there, and it's great to have him as a colleague, being a fellow Iowan and the whole bit myself, and being involved in obviously mass media studies and production. Actually, we'll probably get you a local Grammy show here next, doing things. It was great being there when he was building his career. I never thought that studying pointing little things at a box would result in such wonderful results and reputation. And I really wish I had brought my clicker along to help stop some of those. But Jim, it was great having us back. Remember, we were very sorry to see him leave. He was a very popular, well-liked, and respected professor there. And somewhat we were happy with Southern as well, because a lot of the studies that have an important part of his research, Rob wants to know, came out of a media group, research group that a lot of folks in this group were part of, and that was a very important part, not only for the University of Memphis, but also for SSCA. Great. Thank you.
It was during those Southern days that the writing partnership with Jim and I started developed as Jim was in Memphis and was a couple of hours down the road in Little Rock. In fact, it was in 1984 that Jim actually first brought me to this conference. It was in Baton Rouge here, as I'm sure Gary and some days, and the rest of you remember. And I remember we drove my 1979 Renault car from Little Rock to Baton Rouge. And for those that think of Jim as Mr. Calm, I would suggest that you not let it drive your car. This is the only time I can remember in my life that I've actually insisted that someone get off the road and drink before. But eventually, Jim Southern's stint did come to an end. Jim Feltner, the woman who made an honest man out of it, left for a good position in Chicago. And then Jim eventually was able to join her at St. Xavier University. He has continued his scholarship there and become quite a celebrity at St. X. And while none of those folks were able to attend, except for Jim, of course, we do have a couple of folks on tape. And Jim, you may want to tell us who these people are.
The first one is the Dean of Arts and Sciences when Jim was hired.
Jim, we at St. Xavier have heard that you're being honored by the Southern Communication Association for your contributions to the field. We thought that we would like to let the audience see what a few of your colleagues have to say about you.
Since I was dean responsible for the appointment of Jim Walker at St. Xavier University, I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to say a few words of congratulations on behalf of St. Xavier. This is an occasion of major contributions, and major contributions have been the name of his game at St. Xavier. Let me give you two examples from his resume. In his first year at St. Xavier, Jim Walker was elected chairman of the department. In his second year, he was elected president of the faculty senate. This level of accomplishment is probably unprecedented in the history of St. Xavier University. And they tell us volumes about the confidence and the trust, the fair-mindedness, the openness that caused his colleagues here to respect him. They also tell us much about the truth that is out there, about the fact that Jim Walker is a seasoned ticket holder for both the Cubs and the White Sox. An interesting indicator of and evidence of the man's political acumen, his advocacy of multiculturalism, his personal predilection for the marginals, the losers, the left out, and anything out in left field. We appreciate that side of Jim Walker's personality. We've come to realize that he has become a Chicago personality. We love him for that. We love him for all of his contributions. We love him for the way he makes us look so good. So we're just happy to share in this moment of honor and share our joy with him today. Thank you, Jim.
Dan Bernstein, who wrote the book The Image, once wrote, "The celebrity is a person who is known for his well-knownness." Jim, you are well-known and a celebrity in our eyes. On behalf of the staff and the students in the communication department at St. Xavier University, we applaud you. Congratulations. We're so happy for your accomplishments. But then again, we always knew you were a talent. I personally know you are a talent in terms of putting together bookcases for me, teaching me how to use the VAX-D system, and also teaching me and teaching all of us how to actually work some of the equipment that we proclaim that we know how. Jim, you truly are a remarkable individual. We always knew you were a star. Now we know how bright your star actually shines. The only problem, the things that I'm worried about is when you come back, will we all have to wear shades? Seriously, congratulations, and I'm very, very proud of you.
People at St. Xavier University. In the decade of the 90s, Jim's work in the areas has continued. Our collaborations resulted in a couple of books on remote control devices and a couple of articles on sports. Hopefully that will continue. But probably the most meaningful co-venture that I had with Jim in the 90s was our co-management of the 1992 Spiders Fantasy Baseball team. And the reason for this is because we had absolutely no idea what we were doing in the spring of 1992. We had no idea how to draft a team. We had no idea how to apportion a budget. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Now, Jim, of course, does this every year. He's very proficient at it. But we didn't have a clue. And yet we won the championship. We won it. Here's the trophy. I brought that along. Yes. Now you look like a cheap ball in a cheap plastic case. And it really is. It's very meaningful to both of us. Okay. I want to allow the opportunity for the rest of you to ask questions or make comments on Jim, or to say things for himself. But let me conclude this simply by saying that I want to salute a person who's one of the most human people I've ever met. A person who can balance a strong work ethic with the fun of a trip to spring training, always for research, of course. An individual who knows all the good restaurants in Bloomington, Indiana, and many of them, most of them, I'd say, in Chicago. Okay? A man who has had his fair share of adversity, but keeps on swinging. Anais Nin wrote, "Each friend represents a world in us, a world possibly not born until they arrive. And it is only by this meeting that a new world is born." Jim Walker, you can never strike out in my eyes. You are my guide, philosopher, and friend. So let's simply open it up. Questions? Jim?
There was an article in Sports Illustrated recently predicting the imminent fall of a house of cards that's been built by the proliferation of cable channels and sports programming that builds it. What's your take on that?
Well, I haven't seen that piece. I think sports is in pretty good shape. It's been one of the most rapidly growing industries, so I think all the indicators. It gets depressing if you look at specific parts of it. If you just look at the broadcast part of it, you can see some contraction there in the ratings and so forth. But what's happening is those ratings are simply going to cable. So sports is a pretty healthy industry, and I don't think it's built on a house of cards. There's certainly some structural problems in specific sports, baseball being the most dramatic right now. But it's going great guns. And there's just the interest from fans alone, but I think even the reflections of what our students are interested in, the careers they see, it's a growth industry.
What did you do with the Chrysler?
What
did you do with the Chrysler?
Where's the picture of this Chrysler?
Oh, here we go. These are smaller photos. Jim,
What year was it?
share these with me, so I'll pass this around. Let's see what we can argue about.
Jim, I'd like to ask about your negotiation in San Antonio with the hotel people last year about your phone bill. Related back to it?
Well, I'm actually not a good negotiator, but under extreme stress, certain powers came forth, and I think that phone bill talked down about $450. I was playing my fantasy baseball game, and it accidentally left my computer connected. And the generous rates that hotel charges for long-distance calls. So I managed to roll up over about 5 hours of contact time, about $400 of extra charges, of which we got negotiated down all but about $150 of it. So it was an expensive team last year. It's not as expensive, but that was it was exciting.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Let me make a statement, sorry.
And also, we have one for Alan.
Oh, good.
Gary, go ahead.
And in the program, it says that people are going to talk about how he's influenced our careers. And as Dean Randa mentioned, there was the there still is the media research group. I don't know if anybody showed up at the 7 o'clock meeting, but I think was scheduled for it this year. Is it tomorrow? Okay. I'm sorry. It was the only time I could find.
Tomorrow.
But I didn't attend the first media research group meeting, and I didn't go off with Rob and Jim when we went up to Hot Springs someplace to make a plan for this first big cross-state study. People from Louisiana and Arkansas, Alabama. Karen Cartier went, I think, or at least Karen was involved in this. And I didn't have any real interest in political communication. I had other things that I was interested in. And after the data was collected, after Jim went over, and he was masterful. He was a kind slave driver in making sure everybody got their data in and took care of the data. And set up the data set. I still have the tape, by the way. The data's all in my office. And as I was walking by Karen one day, she stopped me and said, "Could you do the data analysis on this set? Because we're going to do it." And I said, "Yes." And that began the 13 or 14 years that Karen and I have been working together. So the reason why I do political communication is sitting up there. And I have to thank you for all your work with that. And if you'd like a copy of it, I'd be happy to run one for you.
I can give you some data to analyze it, that's all you need.
It's another career in the department.
I have to comment on that meeting that Gary alluded to. Was, Don Singleton set this up because he was chair of the department at Arkansas Little Rock at the time. And Don was an incredible wheeler dealer. He did trade outs. He had, Mercedes, I think he got from the dealer for some cable time or something. He did remarkable stuff. But he had done a trade out with a hotel in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Some free advertising on the cable system. So he got this taken care of for us, essentially. This weekend. And we were doing pretty well. We were working actually fairly hard. And then somebody went to the window of the conference room we were working at and looked out and realized that the Miss Arkansas competition in the swimsuit edition was taking place at the pool in the hotel. And slave driver that I am, I kept saying, come on guys, come on back. But after a while, I just looked up and saw 8 faces in the class, and I enjoyed them. Because sometimes you can lead and sometimes you can. But I'll always remember that image, and it was really Don who helped us get started. And Don also directed the second survey that we did, the one on Super Tuesday. I coordinated the first one, but he did the bulk of the work for the second one. So, deserves some kudos.
David, you said Alan, it's in the Alan
Alvarez, Alan is, as I like to put it, he's performing as the Lord of the Dance somewhere in Dallas metro area this weekend. He says, "Dear Jim, I'm sorry I can't be with you today to participate in your well-deserved Spotlight Scholar session. As you may have heard, I'm taking my dancing debut, don't laugh too hard, with my daughter's senior drill team spring show, and I'm required to do the dance with dads. This may be the end of the tradition here. Otherwise, I'd be with you to celebrate the recognition in St. Louis. Congratulations on being recognized for your scholarship by the Mass Communication Division. I can honestly attribute my own involvement with the Mass Comm Division of SSCA to you. Did you know that? Back in 1988, while a lowly grad student at Ohio State, I presented my first Mass Comm Division paper at the Louisville Conference. You were the program planner for the division that year. And you made it a point to come up after the session, introduce yourself, and invite me to attend the business meeting the next morning. Had you not done that, I'm sure I would have slept in and never have been involved in the division. In my years in SSCA, I've always admired and appreciated your work, in particular your work on inheritance effects, the remote control device research with Rob, and more recently your book on the television industry, have influenced my own teaching and research. You're one of those scholars who consistently produce high quality and engaging work. Thanks, Jim, for being a great role model teacher and scholar. Keep up the good work, and I hope you have a great season of fantasy baseball.
One of the things a lot of people don't realize is how do various departments get to be the way they are. It seems to me one of the things that's happened at Iowa, you can see the way every graduate student we've ever had has left a mark on that department, to shape that department in a certain kind of way. I think one of the ways Jim shaped our department is that our co-ed softball team has never been as good since then, but that's still a model that every team is striving for. The other thing that's always exciting, when you see people in graduate school and you try to figure what are they going to do, what sort of impact, if any, are they going to make on the field. And one of the things I've learned is it's very hard to predict who's really going to be the wheelie dealer, who's going to change the field in certain ways. So it's always been fun to watch, and I've really enjoyed watching the direction Jim has gone. I always wonder where did they get this? Where did this come from? Where did this spark come from? Because I don't think he got it from any of us. He got some ideas and he ran with them, and I greatly admire people like that. And they reflect well on us, even though we can't take any of the credit for it. But it's just great. And congratulations.
Well, it dates me to say I attended my first Southern in 1976. I was 9 years old then. Child genius.
Those were the child recruiting years.
Yes, they were, yes. You know, I brought my ball and presented my paper and jacks and things too. But Southern was a very different association in that day and age. And as a young new assistant professor out of University of Massachusetts in quantitative tradition, it just was not my cup of tea. It was still my stereotype in youth then of the rhetoricians sipping bourbon under the old oak trees in our deep south. Now you have to understand, that was my Midwestern stereotype.
So now that's our goal.
Maybe it should be now that I've mellowed more. Now that I've mellowed a lot more, I can understand that. But at that time, when you think the world wants to be set on fire, or you're ready to set it on fire and discover the world doesn't want to be set on fire, I didn't quite understand that. And I remember going, David and I, to the NASCOM division breakfast meeting, and I think there were, 4 of us, and officers were assigned basically doing this, and or everybody looking down. And so we went for a number of years, and I just finally decided there wasn't a lot there for me. And plus, by this time, there was a baby to be taken care of. At that time, that was considered unprofessional to take your children to meetings. So I stayed home for a number of years with our baby, our little one. And then finally thought, I want to get back into this. People kept telling us, it's changed. So I think it was the meeting in Houston at the hotel. They were tearing down as we were there. And I remember presenting a paper. I thought, well, I'll go to the NASCOM business meeting and see if it's still for people. And talking about something totally irrelevant. And lo and behold, one of the first people I met was Jim Walker, and Gary was there, and Rob, and I think Don was there. And it was like a completely different turnaround, same kind of thing. Jim came up and said, please come. He was going to welcome back. We don't hold it against you, Patrick. You stayed home. And I think from that point on, getting involved in data collection that was done across those states, although for Mississippi that year it was a non-election year, so our data wasn't particularly that meaningful, but it was a good experience for us. And I, with a few exceptions of the times when I had to be missed because I just had surgery or something, I have been here and look forward to continuing to read your research and hear your insightful critiques of my papers and others, usually asking where's the beef in this paper. You realized you weren't vegetarian, you should have had some beef. And we really appreciate everything you've done for us, encouraging all the rest of us. And I think the young assistant professors and graduate students that we've all been bringing, we really appreciate that, what you've done for the association and what you've done for the area of mass communication. Thank you.
Well, since everybody's giving years and my years are newer than their back. It was April of 1991, as a graduate student, when at the request of Linda, I presented one of my papers for my first son. And I felt pretty good about it, brought my husband and son. And then Alan Alboron said, oh my God, you've got Jim Walker. And it was too late to do that. So I presented my paper on wired women. Felt good, I finished on time, I didn't fall on the table or anything. And then Dr. Walker made his response. I tried to slide down in my chair with each comment on secondary science. Research that should have taken place in the and I just wanted to slide. But at the end of his comments came the encouragement. This is a fine first start. You have something to go with from here. And so I felt good, and I learned the lesson that one, teachers really do read those papers before they put grade on them. And that somebody pays attention to both the good and the bad in what we may do. And so, Jim, even though you might not have thought I paid very much attention in between the tears,
just a quick note. I recall going to a conference once in Montreal. Jim, Judith, and Rob, and some of us were doing the round. And we noticed on the license tags this expression in French. We were all trying to translate the French. None of us had any French. And Judith finally said, well, from what I gather, it looks like the thing means, I remember me. So Jim, I just leave that with you. You know, when you get, you know, when you're in your room or wherever, and you think you're being unappreciated, you can just recall that license tag and go, well, I remember me. I think the thing finally is what je t'aime souvent.
Yeah, with this reflexive verb.
Yeah, it's kind of like a translation of the Southern Rebel, forget hell. You know, I remember, going emphatically. So.
And as we get older, it's about the only thing we can remember.
If we're lucky.
If we're lucky.
Anything else?
Jim, I send the best wishes of my brother-in-law Brandon Stoddard when I saw the program that we were going to be doing this for you. I had occasion to talk with Brandon, remembered meeting very fondly in New Orleans.
That was wonderful, wonderful session and a wonderful meal.
Said to wish you well.
One of the few people that ever bought me did.
That's one of the remarks, Rob.
Yes.
All right, Jim, we're gonna turn you on. We'll be zapping and see if you have anything you'd like to say.
Well, no, I decided not to prepare any comments. I wanted to respond. Obviously, when these things happen, you feel a little bit overwhelmed, and certainly don't feel deserving of it. Linda said that this was going to happen. I just emailed her back and said, this is supposed to be an hour and 15-minute session. I'd say 10 minutes if it's my contribution to the field, 10, 15 minutes tops. We can handle it. You know, I've always said that I'm a humble person, and I'm humble because I have a lot to be humble about. It really works well together. Maybe just a couple of comments on the folks. I mentioned Don's contribution to the media research group and that day in Arkansas. I'll never forget. We'll have one of these sessions with Rob someday, so I'll get a chance to pour on my emotions on him. But he has been such an important person in my life. So many of the projects, particularly in the last decade or so, have been interwoven. It's really hard for me to even think of family projects without involving him and involving me. So it's been an awfully important friendship, as well as a professional association. It's been very good for both of us, I think. But I did want to mention that, you know, when you evaluate people early in their careers, Sam was alluding to this, you look for little clues to indicate this could be somebody I can work with. My first association with Rob was at Iowa, and we were teaching television production there. And I had been there a couple of years before, and I was sort of the senior person, taught the more advanced course. And Rob was coming in, he was relatively new, although he'd been teaching himself for a year full time. But he was the new guy. So I said, you know, here's the materials that I used, and I turned them over to him. Well, this was in the days before photocopy machines were widely used, so we did little stencils. You all remember this, you know, a little crane. And those things were kind of hard to do, and you had to retype all this stuff. Well, I had done one on hand signals in television studio production, and I had used my own artistic skills. You know, those little things where you have those hand signals like that. And I had drawn my own little sketches, little boxes, so the students would know. 30 seconds to go. Wrap it up, stretch it. I'm the worst artist in the history of civilization. Stick art is a big improvement on what I did. These were the ugliest little illustrations you've ever seen. And Rob just took those stencils and whipped them. He just kept cranking them out. I thought, my God, this guy has the kind of standards that I can deal with. That's like, he's still here. I can work with this person. And Gary, the only thing I have to say to you is, I was digging through some old photos Rob had asked me to send some things over, and I found one of me wearing a helmet. It was in Arizona. I was 8 years old. mention lots of other people here, but Sam, Dick, but I'll leave my last comment for my mother, Judith Wilner. And there's been an ad campaign over the last few years on ABC, sort of reminding us that we can like television. We can feel good about television. We can feel real good about watching ABC television. And one of the slogans is, before television, 2 world wars. After television, no world wars. I'm sure you all